No title yet for this video. That'll come later when I've found out what I'm going to say. Going with a monk-like look now. I realise on all my videos I have a hat on, and since it's shaded here and there's no sunlight and I'm warm, then there doesn't seem a reason to wear the baseball cap or the beanie. So here's the monk look. Oh man, maybe I should have started off like this. I have more followers by now. Of course, I'm not attached to the number of subscribers. Honestly, I'm not. Oh man, that number of subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, click the button on the bottom right and turn the notifications on, and then you'll be informed when I upload new content. But yes, this attachment to subscribers, I've talked about this before. I think I talked about it in a video called Happiness. And I don't want to go over old ground, but I might just reassess where I am in that pull towards having more people interested in what I'm saying, and that seems to reflect back. The only gauge I have for that is the number of views, of course the comments, and the subscriber count. So how important are those things? Well, of course, the Buddha's position is that suffering comes from attachment. And so I suffer if the subscriber count drops, if I'm attached to it. And I suffer if I upload a video that doesn't get much interest. Because I'm attached to those things. And of course they're not the only things that I'm attached to. I'm living in the world, and as such I have things that I am drawn to, events and people and worldly things that attract me, and I have other things that I have an aversion to, that I want less of. And it seems to be stitched into the very fabric of being a human being, of being a person, that is what happens. We are naturally drawn to some things and naturally move away from other things. In the purest way, our whole biology exists in that manner. The way we survive, the way we have survived, is that we move towards things that are nourishing and away from things that are poisonous. Now, is that attachment? Am I attached to the things that I like, and does that attachment bring me suffering? And is the release into enlightenment and self-realization the dropping away of those attachments? Am I just wanting to have my cake and eat it, so to speak, if I say one can be in the world but not of the world? Is that trying to allow myself the attachments to worldly things whilst also being separate from them in one sense? The more and more I record these unscripted contemplations, the more I realise that they are a way of working through my own lived experience. I'm not here as a teacher, I'm here as a student. And it's a much easier position to be, because life keeps teaching you things, doesn't it? Things that you perhaps don't want to learn. And so I suppose there is an acceptance there. An acceptance that things aren't going to be what I would like them to be all the time. That would be happiness, I guess. Everybody just wants happiness with not a moment of sadness, just nothing but that. And of course that's impossible and meaningless anyway, because if one lived that life, of course, then there would be nothing to contrast it with, and so it would have no value. But so an acceptance that things aren't always going to be what I would like them to be, and there are going to be things that I would like to change that I can't change, and there are things that I would like to be different that might never be different to how they are. And so of course there's joys and happiness and a little bit of bliss here and there, perhaps a little bit of insight, a little bit of beauty that we would welcome when it arrives. But then there are the things that make us suffer, and there's an acceptance that both those manifestations can be met in stillness, in presence, in a present moment awareness, in an acceptance of what is happening, of what is unfolding. And you don't have to deny yourself the rush of joy, of love, of peace, of happiness when it happens. That's part of the unfolding, in the same sense that you do not have to be in conflict with and fight the opposite of those pleasant emotions, the depressive thoughts, the anxious feelings, the stressful underlying perception that the future might be not what you want it to be, the fear of what might happen, or the regret of what has happened. They will come to visit often, just as the happiness might want to come to visit, and you can't have one without the other. You can't shut the door to one and let the other into your heart, because then you're in conflict, you're in duality. So perhaps then you open the door, you have no choice, they're going to come in anyway, but rather than shutting the door and closing and battening down the windows and locking it out and then only letting in the good feelings, you don't really have a choice. They're coming in anyway. They're coming in through the door and through the cracks in the window pane, and they're coming in under the floorboards and through the chimney. You can't lock these feelings out of your soul, so you just drop the boundaries and drop the walls and drop the idea that you can pick and choose what enters your house, that everything that is entering will enter whether you want it or not, and then that is a letting go and an acceptance of what is unfolding. And in that you can find peace even in the dark times. You can find stillness and serenity. And so what happens, happens. And then you have the freedom to be, and you're not constrained by trying to let in the good parts into your heart and blocking out the bad parts of your life. You have an openness to everything, it's coming in anyway. And so there's, I suppose, a lesson that life will teach you. And if you aren't open in the position of a student, and you believe you're the teacher and you know the answers, then you will be in conflict with yourself, and life will eventually teach you the hard way that you are one with everything that is unfolding, good and bad. And that's where true peace and perhaps self-realisation or self-awareness, that's perhaps where that lives, in that total acceptance of what is, of recognising that you're not outside of the flow of what is happening with any choice in the matter, but you are the flow, you are the unfolding, you are what is being presented to you, you are in that stream of life, that is what is happening. And so you accept the good with the bad, and you strive for better things, and you act in the world to get to a better place. Of course you do, but not from a position of anger, fear, or internal conflict. You can't get there through those means. You find it through serenity, stillness, peace, and acceptance.